everybody? Axis here to walk you through the CJ Cup this week using the FTN Daily Optimizer. I have put my projections in, so let's just jump right into it. If you're not familiar with the tool, I made a video last week, which you can find on ftndaily.com, that I went through the tool more and just how to use it. This week we'll go through a little bit more, just some plays as well. So I mainly play on DraftKings, so that's what I'm going to walk you through. We do have FanDuel option. It's just not something I play as much, so Dom does a great job writing up FanDuel if you want to check out his content on the site. So we'll pick the slate. We'll pick PGA Tour, let that load up. We'll get back to the top here. First things first, we'll walk down here. So, I've got some odds in there as well. A lot of people like to sort by the odds, see what's going on. So the first things first, honestly, if you want to check my projections to the market or even salary to the market, normally salaries are pretty close to the market. DraftKings also is a sports book. That's the easiest way to set the lines, right? So like when you sort by salary, sort by odds, there's really not a ton changing here near the top. As you go through, maybe near the bottom, you get a few more, like Abraham Answers down here quite a bit for 9,100. Tommy Fleetwood as well. He's at 8,800, but 50 to 1, quite a ways down on the board. So, this is a good way to maybe find some very quick value, but you always so have to recognize you're not the only one doing that. That is a very common thing. It is the first thing you should probably do as a base if you don't have a great understanding of golf. Maybe you're just getting into it. I think that is a decent way to start. The market is fairly efficient. I shouldn't even say fairly. The market's pretty efficient, right? Especially come Wednesday, it's more bet into. So, you can come do that, at least get a base and find like what's really off. And maybe those are guys you don't want to fade in cash or something to that nature. But I do think that's a pretty solid way to start, especially if you're just getting into the game. And then you can even sort by my projections. Sometimes they're mine, sometimes they're Kyle's. So like this week, I think I'm a little different. And I don't think that's a bad thing, right? Like we're looking for an edge. I'm not looking to necessarily be the same as the market all the time. So you'll see Cam Smith and Louis Oosthuizen, and I'm pretty big on this week. Perhaps the market doesn't like that Cam Smith hasn't played in a while. Perhaps the market doesn't like that Louis doesn't win, that Louis is older. We tend to see those regressions. There's a lot of things that go into it that I just weigh slightly different, which I think, again, is a good thing. If I was the exact same as the market, that would be a problem. That would mean I don't necessarily have an edge. I'd be a middling player, right? I wouldn't be winning. I could maybe lose just the rake, maybe just be beating the rake. But if you're exactly the same as what the market is doing, you're not going to beat the market. So even if you're trying new things, you might lose for a little bit. You just got to keep tweaking. So when you look at my projections, you might be like, wow, he might be high. And it's not necessarily the case. And I'm not saying I'm always right either, but I don't really mind being different. It actually used to bother me a little bit when I started doing projections and odds that I was like so far off on certain guys. And yeah, you don't want to be crazy off. And maybe I'll go back and look at some like, okay, why am I this different? But if I can justify it with how I'm building, it's not an error, then I just roll with it now. Like there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. All right, so that being said, I'll uncheck everybody here because I just want to go through and get some of the guys that I want. We'll do 20 lineups. The ownership's not in here yet. Kyle will update that. We like to not just dump ownership out here. We like to actually put some thought into it, see what's going on, and I lean on Kyle for that. That's not something I've ever been particularly good at, so it's another thing. I know what I'm better at and not better at in my own game, so I let someone who's much better at that do it. Why would I try to make projections for ownership if I don't feel confident in them, especially when Kyle's so good at it? Same with his projections when he throws them in here. I have no issue using his either, so it's kind of a tag team effort between the FTN golf crew. So 20 lineups. I'm going to use all the salary range, although I don't want any of these golfers that are getting some sponsorship invites. If you go to the bottom, you'll see some Korean golfers down here. I'm not even going to try to pronounce their names, and butcher them on their behalf. But like, I don't really want any of these guys, and you can see the projections are pretty low. Maybe you can play some Joohyung Kim. Also goes by Tom Kim. Probably not going to be for me. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to play Benny Ann. Sorry to my buddy Hatch. He's just struggling, right? Rasmus, I guess, could get in. So honestly, we can even leave Benny in. So I can just put the cutoff at 60 fantasy points since none of those guys are below that. So you can go right here, type in 60, and I won't have to deal with any of those guys that are just really unknowns to me as well. Getting into any of my lineups accidentally, and I don't catch it. Salary cap, I'll leave at 50. I'll go to tournament mode. That's what we're playing. I'll leave it as one unique for now. Although you can do two to mix it up. I guess we'll do two. We'll mix it up a little bit. Randomization, again, I don't think there's necessarily a secret sauce to this. Some people like more variability into the projections. My projections are not perfect, like I said, so we'll put some variance into them, shake it up a little bit, and we will go from there. So first things first, I'm going to want Cam Smith. I'm going to want Louis. They're two of the better values to me. I like Xander enough. DJ Spieth, sure, all those guys. But, I'm going to click on some of my value guys first, like a Charlie Hoffman at 7,200. And, again, these are projections. They're based on a lot of different things. I'm not saying long-term Charlie Hoffman's going to be better than Tony Finau, Paul Casey, or even Justin Thomas. It's just, what we've seen recently from JT, and I do like him this week, so I'm going to click on him despite the projection. Again, projections are a tool. A lot goes into this. This is kind of how I'm viewing guys currently. This is not a long-term projection. This is this week type of thing based on recent form, long-term form, course fit, all that fun stuff mixed into one. Obviously, I don't think Charlie Hoffman's a better golfer than Justin Thomas. If they are priced the same, I would pick Justin Thomas every time. Pretty much every time. So, I don't know. I guess that's a little weird to explain considering I have Hoffman projected, but if I go tinkering every guy who's a little high due to some recent form or some little thing that I weight more, it's very time consuming, and then I'm putting a lot more of personal bias into it. So if I can just look at the projections and realize these things, like, okay, we know Charlie Hoffman isn't long-term going to be better, or even Morikawa down here, like some of his injury has caused some of his recent form to be poor. We saw him at the Ryder Cup and he looked great. So you do have to use some things some things you watch while you're doing this. And that's why I tell everyone too, projections, again, they're a tool. This is not perfect. Or otherwise I'd win all the time too. It's just another tool like using the odds to form better lineups. So we'll keep coming through. I don't really know how the course is going to play exactly. I think it'll be relatively easy for these guys. Morikawa is probably going to be very popular. Home course for him, I'm going to avoid currently. We will play Taylor Gooch. Daryl Hatton, I don't know. I do like Kokrak this week, 8,500. Sergio not being at the Andalusia Masters is quite something. He's won there 3 times. In fact, there's 3 in a row, but must just want to be here, not deal with travel. I do trust him, though, here for 7,500. It gets very thin at the bottom, right? So not a lot going on. I did write a 7 under 7 article, which you can also find where I go more in depth on some of these value guys. Maverick McNeely, another guy who's going to get a lot of praise and talked about in the media for the 61 or 62 that he shot here. Again, it pays to be comfortable. How much? I don't know. That's hard for me to say and to quantify. Scrolling down further. Poor Ricky. 6,400 and 125 to 1 in this field. Mighty have fallen. And you can see Benny Ann, my lowest projected. Rasmus Højgaard is interesting. At 6,100, I think it's worth a shot. He can make a ton of birdies. We've seen him a lot on the European Tour. He's won already multiple times. I forget exactly how old he is. I'm pretty sure he's still under 20. Danish kid. Probably will find his way onto a Ryder Cup in the future. But again, let's see. How many guys have we checked? I've only checked 9 guys. That's really not a ton, and a lot of them were were more expensive. I kind of skipped this whole range here for the most part. Scheffler, I do like Scheffler. I like Harris. If I think it's going to be a birdie fest, I like guys who are able to roll the ball in on the putting surface. Justin Thomas is the only guy I clicked all the way up here. That's a little wild to me. I do like Xander quite a bit. And again, I think Morikawa is going to soak up a lot. I mean, are people going to ride DJ 11-3 off of his wild Ryder Cup? Who knows? Paul Casey, I like playing Paul Casey quite a bit. 8,200. Yeah, I like it. We'll do it. We'll ride it. Patrick Reed sitting at 8K. No thank you. Kevin Na, Vegas resident. Don't know if he's a member here. I assume he's played here plenty of times, though. Still not really for me. That doesn't really bump him up all that much. I guess if you wanted to take a flyer on Mav, you could, being comfortable. I don't know. It's not a narrative I normally like to play. I do like Russell Henley. Keegan Bradley, why not? He can get in. Grio, Kazire, St. Grace. It just gets really thin down here. So, 16 players. That's a tight pool for 20 lineups. We'll generate. We'll see what we get. Oh, to comply with DraftKings. That's right. So I go over this in the first video. You got to make a few tweaks. That way they don't want us just spitting out. Everybody's spitting out the same lineups. So you can go over to the fantasy points if you want and just change something small there. So you can tweak even my own projections. Like if you think I'm crazy for having Hoffman that high, feel free to change it. Nothing's stopping you. You can call me an idiot under your breath. You can tag me in the Discord if you'd like, and we can argue about it. It's fine. I probably won't even argue with you all that much. You're probably correct. We do like Louis, so you could do that to change things up as well to get around the build rules that DraftKings has imposed. So we scroll down. We have our 20 lineups. We have our exposures. 85% Charlie Hoffman. As much as I love Charlie Hoffman, that is a bit much for me, right? So we can tweak that to 25, not 250. Louis 70. I still don't like guys being wildly high, but I love this first one to just get spit out raw just to see who it's kind of plugging in. I could even use that as a core maybe to look at in cash if I so choose. Things like that. Taylor Gooch, yeah, we don't need all that much of him. I don't mind Cam. He'll get boosted up a lot probably in this next one. So you can just hit optimize again. And it's going to do its best to stick with that. Now you can go up here and uncheck. So right now I've prioritized completing lineups above min and max. So it might not stick exactly to what I put. You can uncheck that if you'd rather the generator and the optimizer stick closer to your percentages rather than create lineups. So now you can see I got Cam Smith 80%. That's still pretty wicked high, so we'll change that. And you can just keep doing these little tweaks if you're overall happy. We're now to somewhere where I have 65% as my max, and I don't hate that. That's pretty aggressive. But also in like 20 lineups, so that could be for like the $3. So you're trying to win first place in that. You're not really trying for min cashes. So aggressive, right? If you hit a lot of this core up top, you're gonna have a lot of potential lineups in play. So these are all your lineups over on the right side. You can then download the CSV with your lineups and upload it right into DraftKings. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful this week. We'll walk through it again next week. As always, find me in the Discord if you have any questions. If you're not a member at FTN yet, you can go sign up at ftndaily.com. Use promo code AXES to get yourself a discount, and we hope to see you join us soon.